I purchased some 20x extract from an online vendor with the intent of finding out more about life and my purpose. I did not purchase it to simply get high, I was truly seeking an experience I could learn from. I put on some soft music, took the first hit out of a small marijuana pipe and held it in as long as I could, then exhaled. I took a second hit, and exhaled after 15 seconds or so. That was all it took. I closed my eyes and laid back. Immediately I was in a place I was familiar with. The walls, floor, and objects in the room were multicolored and looked childlike. They looked like they were made out of Legos with rounded corners but clay-like. There were symbols on the blocks. They looked Egyptian, but I didn't understand what they meant. Time didn't exist here. The feeling that overcame me first was the same feeling you have as a young child. In a strange new world, I felt like a child in this new world before me. A sense of awe, wonder, and excitement took over. I had completely forgotten who I was, and how I got there. My ego was completely gone. Suddenly, I was standing before a giant rotating wheel, divided into multicolored sections. Something told me this is the wheel that creates all reality. As I got closer, I noticed the inside of this wheel housed hundreds of souls, all in their own segment on the wheel, holding hands with the soul next to them, creating giant rings of connected souls. I stepped inside the wheel, and found my empty compartment that I had left when I was born into this life. Now, the beings around me recognized me, and I recognized them. They were overjoyed to have me back on the wheel. I joined hands with the beings beside me and rotated inside this huge wheel, creating reality. I felt this was my purpose, and it always had been. The feeling of unconditional love and acceptance was incredible. I was them, and they were me. There was nothing to fear, nothing to worry about. We were whole again. Someone next to me said this wheel powers the sun, moon, and all reality. All energy is created from this wheel. After a few minutes on the wheel, I somehow moved outside of it, and saw a woman in a flowing gown pouring a vase of shiny gold liquid into a stream. She said this is the nectar of life and reality. Immediately after, I returned to my physical body. Only 12 minutes had passed since I smoked salvia. It felt like I was there several hours. I opened my eyes feeling reborn. Happy to be alive, I went for a walk and could feel the energy from all the plants, flowers, and animals. We were all one. I felt I was part of them. About a week later, I packed the bowl a little more than I did last time. Took 2 big hits, and was back on the giant spinning wheel. I joined hands again with the same beings as before. They joked and said back again? In a playful manner. Only this time I looked up, and saw there were hundreds of levels, colored rings of souls like the one I was on. I looked down and saw hundreds below me as well. We were in a giant rotating cylinder. This is where souls await rebirth, as they help create reality. I looked at a being a few feet away from me and realized he or she just telepathically told me this. I saw families of souls awaiting birth when they reached the bottom of this wheel. Once they exited it, they were born into a physical life to carry out their lives together. It was odd, but somehow it all made sense. Another week passed, and I wanted to go even deeper. I packed my bowl full and took massive hits this time. I left my body like before, but this time I went past the wheel. I could see it rotating in the distance, but I was going much further this time. I realized the whole place that encompassed this wheel was a huge factory. I could see stained glass windows on the ceiling hundreds of feet above me with stars shining in the night sky outside. I looked around and saw dozens of strips of fabric being rolled out from huge spindles and colorful machinery scattered around. And then, the workers. Dozens of non-human beings, large, they looked like Buddha gods, operating these machines and sewing together the rolls of fabric. The strips of fabric moved like a conveyor belt. I walked up to the nearest strip of fabric and realized it was my life. It was a timeline, printed onto still frames. Each moment was one frame. I saw myself in my room smoking salvia, and myself waking up from salvia 5 minutes in the future just a couple feet away on the strip of fabric. If I moved further down the strip, I could see my future. Being in this factory felt more real than my physical life ever had, and it confirmed that life really is a simulation. The workers all had their own tasks. Some were pushing steamroller-type machines along the strips of fabric. These machines seemed to zip the still frames together to create a fully animated fabric. Others were operating the spindles. Some were sorting still frames into files for storage in this massive cosmic factory. Some were sewing. This is where reality, and time itself are created. This machinery was more advanced than I could comprehend, yet there was something very ancient about it. It looked ancient, and the factory seemed so familiar. I know I had been there many times before. Just then, a large being pushing a steamroller along my strip of fabric told me to watch out because he had to roll my timeline. I couldn't move out of the way fast enough and got rolled over by this multicolored steam roller. As he was rolling over me, my consciousness became stuck to the roller and now became a small piece of it. My whole perspective and field of vision was now from the roller. I was now a part of it. He said, "Don't worry, you'll be out of there soon. Life is just a game you have to play." As he pushed me back into the frame where I was laying in my room after smoking salvia. The frame shattered and I was back in my body. I looked up at the ceiling and saw the roller zipping the portal closed that I just fell through. This experience did not terrify me. I found it amazing and I no longer fear death. The beings and workers I met remembered me. They were very loving and I felt safe with them. I feel like I was let in on a big secret, and I no longer take things so seriously knowing it's all a dream, or simulation. After all, time really is just an illusion. After doing some research, I found many people who have smoked salvia have gone to the same place and experienced this wheel, the workers in the factory. How can so many people experience the same thing? Sometimes I am tempted to smoke salvia again, and ride the cosmic wheel one more time.